Hello. Welcome to my cake kitchen. If you see me for the first time, I am Gladys. I love cake. And over here, I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. Today we're back. Okay, we're back to baking basics. I'm excited. In the last few days, which is the day before and yesterday, we've been decorating a series of cakes. We'll get back to that perhaps tomorrow or sometime later. Today, though, we are focused on some baking. I am making some, it is supposed to be a spiced apple cake, a simple vanilla cake with some chopped spiced apple. The thing, though, is that the people who this cake is targeted at do not like strong flavors. So we're going to kind of tweak a very steady and reliable recipe, but adapt it specifically to this bunch of people who are so boring. These are my church people. If they're listening, they know I'm joking. I love them. It's my pastor's anniversary, and I make it a commitment every year to make the church a cake in celebration of that, which is what we are doing. It's also a learning opportunity where I get to make a cake that I have complete control over from bake to finish. So you're invited into my kitchen. The purpose of these lives is to bring you the raw moments of the decorating process. Now, my time is far limited, so we are very sure on the long form, which is rather planned and structured videos, but we still have fun here. So happy Thursday. If it's your first time you're joining us, thank you for stopping by. We hope you stick around. For our regular friends, Dawn, Tabitha, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you all? Dawn, how are you keeping? Dawn, how are you feeling? And Tabitha, how are you? I tend to ask this question genuinely as though we are sat at a table, and in my head I feel like I got the answer and I just move on into my tangent. So let's get to baking. Like I said, it's a spiced apple cake, but we are starting with the base of a vanilla cake. I have gone ahead and sorted all the ingredients, weighed everything. I will keep the details posted on the community post. I didn't even take pictures of what they look like over here. So we are starting with 325 grams of margarine. I'm using stock margarine with 425 grams of sugar. I have caster sugar here. There is 275 grams of eggs weighed. The eggs, the quantity I have here is deshelled. So we have 275 grams. We have 120 grams or mils of kefir. Kefir functions in the same way as buttermilk. And the purpose here is to enhance moisture in the sponge layers, but also to tenderize the gluten so that I can have a lightly textured cake. So by so doing, I have a steady structured cake that is optimized for layering without collapsing, but it doesn't come with the heaviness and stodginess of a sponge that is dense, which is why I am using kefir. Then I have self-raising flour. If you've been here for a little while, you know I prefer self-raising flour because for some reason my relationship with rising agent is not great. When I've had to add maybe a teaspoonful, I overdo it. Like, you're supposed to just almost jauntily like scoop and add the rising agent or flour, whatever you're measuring, but I just tend to kind of dip and scoop a lot, which comes off more than the actual quantity needed. So to save myself all the faff of that, I go straight for self-raising flour. But if you don't have access to self-raising flour, the amount here, which is 450 grams of self-raising flour, could still be plain flour with a teaspoon and a quarter of baking powder. That should work. For our new friends here, oh, Dawn says I'm good, thanks. And Sky Pigeon, good morning. I say good morning, I know it's good afternoon here. I have gone ahead and preheating my oven at 150 degrees C. Now we are making a tiered cake in an 8 and a 6 inch. I think I am feeling a little bit ambitious, and I want to kind of change the shape into the oval shaped cake we made, but in 2 tiers instead of the single tiered we made the last time. So if you stick with me, you know me, I have complete control over. So whatever I do is just my own like recreation and thoughts of what I really want to do. So stick with me, we'll see. Let's get to the baking of the cake. And yeah, for convenience, I am employing the stand mixer. And before we get to the stand mixer, let me get myself the amount of apples. The reason why, if I'm being honest, the only reason why I am making a spiced apple cake is because I bought the apples and they were kind of shrinking, and I hate to waste. So instead of throwing them away, I'm like, I'm gonna make a cake out of it. But the people I'm making the cake for do not like spice. Thank you, Tapeta. What a lovely gift. I mean, you know what? If you know me, I am a Christian, but I tell you, I have a very funny relationship with church pastors because but my pastor is a very I think the thing I love about my pastor and his wife is they are both pastors, and he is so like how do I say it? He is so approachable. Like if you came to the church, he doesn't stand out as a pastor. He blends into everybody, like, and he's so reachable, and the sacrifices and commitments he makes to the community. And we are such a small house church. Like, it's not a mega church or something. It's a very small church where everybody knows everybody, and it's a very engaged and homely community of people. And that's more enabled and enhanced because of the culture that the pastor and his wife encourage. I go to their house, I sit with the pastor and his wife, and we have conversations about like random things that has nothing to the Bible. Like, I think the thing I love about my pastor is that I have the autonomy to pursue my relationship with God in a way that doesn't make me idolize a pastor. So I can go to his house and we can sit down and chat about like life as a Ghanaian and random things. And I am not constantly kind of like trying to think, oh, it's my pastor, so the conversation should be spiritually centered, or like, if you know what I'm saying. So it is actually, it is a nice feeling for someone who just tends to have a pastor aversion, because I have an aversion for pastors. So sometimes he kind of peeks on her. So if he happens to kind of chance onto this video, hi Pastor Kofi, hi. Well, I'm not sure you would see him here, and I don't know what his handle here is, but sometimes he's like, if I don't go to church for a while and I see him, he goes, oh, when I haven't found you, I go and check on your YouTube, and I have to say to him, look, I don't live on YouTube, okay? And we laugh about it. So that's really nice. Gimori is back. Gimori darling. That is, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I was trying to weigh some apples here, and we have 200 grams. I was just trying to divide it between the two. Gimori, oh, you need to go. Not to worry, darling. Go and have a good day, my lovely, and look after yourself. Come back another time when you have time. We will still be here. You know we will be, okay? So, great to see you though, darling. Okay, that's, I think... So the total is about 420 grams, and I've split it between the two, which is 210 each, because it's fine. Gimori, if you have to go soon, my love, it's okay. You go whenever it's time, and we'll still be here when you come back, my love. Okay? But Dawn, Tapita, and the rest of you, how is the week going? Look, Friday is nearly over, and it's 22nd. January, the longest month in the year, is also over. What are we doing? What has been the highlights Did I stand here and promise I was going to make Auntie Jackie a cake? Yes, I did. And there we are. Okay, Auntie Jackie knows. Auntie Jackie knows we went off. We'll come back and make Auntie Jackie's cake though. Don't worry. I will email her. There you go. If you wonder what I'm looking for my spatula. Yeah, I have found this spatula. All right, so into that we have the margarine and the sugar. And I'm gonna add some vanilla. We pour vanilla with a lot of love here, but the actual quantity is 2 tablespoonfuls of vanilla, if you need to know. And we are going to cream this. Oh dear. Tapeta says, as far as 2026 is concerned, she'd rather be back in June 2025. Was that before it took a long walk off the short pier, right? Now I have some caramel here that I am going to mix into the apple just for flavor, because otherwise it's just apple chunks. This is the muscovado caramel sauce that I made, so I am mixing that into the apple sauce. That long walk over a short pier, Tapeta, I pray things turn around and you begin to find some joy, okay? Life comes, you would know, my darling, life comes and goes in seasons, and you know what? No season remains permanent, because nothing is. And so when you are in a bad season or a less than wholesome season, it's almost like, oh, I want to go back. But hang in there, Tapeta. I'm sending you hugs, okay? I pray things turn around and you begin to feel a lot better. And same for everybody who just feels like they are in a season that they would rather not be dealing with, okay? We all go through those. I think for most of you, towards the end of last year wasn't great. I don't know how I showed up here. I don't know. And I wasn't pretending. I always tell you, this place is my happy place. It's like a home. It's short of the fact that I cannot just buy a ticket and go home and see my mom when the storm of life is raging against me. This is home for me, right? It is my safe space where I can come and hang out with you people. And if I didn't have that, I will be sitting in the grass with my loved ones, okay? But people are in our lives for different reasons. And this space here is like as much as it's virtual, it is also an intentional home. And I'll tell you how you make it home for me. By your genuine love and support. Like, there is nothing like an internet stranger who is just willing you on to succeed. I am always like, you have no idea. Some days where I have woke up and I will say this though, I haven't, in recent times, I haven't woken up in my life and felt like, oh, I don't want to do life. No. It's not that deep. And for that, I am incredibly grateful, because I'll tell you this, in my teens and 20s, and best part of my early 30s, because look, I'm a woman of a particular age, okay? I am closer to 40 than I am 30s, but from my teens, my 20s and early 30s, I struggled with depression. And I'm not talking life just got hard and I'm depressed, like some real shitty stuff done. So I know what that looks like, and I don't have that anymore in my life. If I wake up and I feel anxious, I have to think about, what's my bank balance looking like? Is there a cake chasing me, or am I dehydrated? There is nothing at the moment in my life that makes me feel like, oh, I am so anxious or I'm so depressed, life is hard. But you know what makes it 100 times better? Having a community of people who don't expect. I think your expectation of me is fairly reasonable and minimum as far as it's known, because the expectation is that I set up shop here to entertain you and teach you about cakes. And when you show up, that's what your expectation is. And if we stretch it a little further, the expectation is kind of boxed in. You know what? She's fun over there. We're having fun together. Let's help each other out. Or at least that's my perception of the support I believe I get from you. So when I'm going through a really, really hard time, look, my relationship ended. It's a relationship over 15 years. Both. And I'm still here. So I'm just telling you, people. However you cope, just hold out hope. It will turn around. I tell you. Now let's go and finish this, okay? Let's go and finish this. You are still running around not medicated, honey. If you, Tapeta, you need to come and sit at the kitchen table. Let's drink tea and have a conversation about that, okay? Because let me just finish this and let it bake, and I'll grab a seat. It is hard. Not medicated, there's a whole conversation about it, each to their own, okay? I had the medication for some time, and then eventually I realized that, you know what, you're gonna have to face this thing. And it took a whole lifestyle change. Like when I tell you, a whole lifestyle change, you know, and thankfully with the lifestyle change came growth and life evolving. But the truth is, depression is an illness, and sometimes the lifestyle change is not enough, because just as other people catch the C disease and everything else, sometimes people just have a reason. It's not like a tangible reason, but people have a medically diagnostic reason, which is that whether the brain chemicals are not as balanced. And there are so many things. I think in our day and age, we tend to kind of feel like, oh, depression, everybody is depressed, but it's a really serious illness, really serious. So Tapeta, look after yourself, that's all. Well, whilst that is creaming, let me just put it like that. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for my egg separator. Now that we've whipped that until light and fluffy, you know, if you're catching us for the first time, today we are here for a little longer than we normally are because the boy will be coming home later. Not because normally I have to finish at a certain time and go and complete some other tasks. Steph, I have you on my to-do list because you popped up on my shorts feed whilst I was on an errand, and you were talking. I think it was a clip from a long form video where you were talking about exploring different formats and inviting people to join in, and I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. I also saw, is it the workout video where you were up in town? Sort of. It all happens. The problem with me is that when I finish, my life just moves on. And the only times I'm back on YouTube is either when I'm listening to a podcast whilst washing up. I barely sit to watch anything. So the recommendations I get are tailored for me, which has you in it. So Steph, I hope you know that I see you over there. I can't always stop to comment, but I'll make an effort. But you're doing great over there. So keep it up, my lovely. Okay? Now I'm going to try and put some egg yolk first. I think, was Lollipop here yesterday? I need to text Lollipop to check up on her. Thank you for raising that. Was Lollipop here yesterday? Was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember now. Well, I do have her contact. I'll find her. I'll go find where Lollipop is and see how she's keeping. Maybe she's back to work and working hard. No, just kidding. Lasso Kid is back. Lasso Kids, did you go and grass us for ChatGPT? Because Lasso Kids, you were out there saying ChatGPT doesn't know. And we're like, no, we are not telling. We are not telling ChatGPT that our chicken cake is not chicken. Right, butter all sorted. Time to add the flour. Lasso, great to have you back, my dear. How have you been? We are adding our apple in. Now, if you want to know the idea surrounding the apple, it's meant to be spiced caramelized apple. But like I said earlier, the Ghanaian community at my church are very bland people. They don't like intense flavors, because when I have tested recipes and served like the most flavorful, intensely deep tasting cakes to them, they're like, and that has always been like some sort of resource information for me to gather. So naturally I wanted to make this, use parts of muscovado sugar and all that, but that was going to be too intense. Plus, if I caramelize the apple will draw, the water will draw out of it, and it will add excess liquid to the cake, and I didn't want that. So actually what I did was I chopped the apple into pieces, and then I had some leftover caramelized sauce. That's muscovado caramelized caramel sauce that I made. So I mixed the sauce into the apple. By so doing, I am able to lightly flavor the sponge with the apples in it without intensifying the flavor so much. And then I don't have the trouble of the apples also being too soft and soggy because they are not cooked. So that's the intention surrounding the choices I have made over here. So just in case you want to know. This is going to be filled with some toffee sauce, as in caramel toffee. And yet the chunky apples will remain in the cake. You'll see, we are going to be here for the bake to finish. So you will see how it starts till how it finishes anyway. So we are done. So I'm going to take that off. Lasso Kid is back splurging and giving us money. Honey, thank you. We appreciate you for that. People, show our Lasso Kid some love, right? Because he just came to the club and threw some dollars at us. I was like, hey! Thank you, Lasso Kid. Chunky apples are delightful, my dear. I know, but the people, isn't this annoying when people don't like the same thing you like? But I'm not mad about them. Like I said, I just didn't want to make a bland vanilla cake, that's all. But we are here now. Look at that sponge. Let's have a taste and see. You know, if we don't taste it, we don't know. Dolly is back. Dolly. You know the cake is going to be good when the sponge butter just tastes good on its own. And it's got raw eggs in it, people. And all I want to do is dig a spoon in it and just eat. But my belly will not permit me. Let's leave it alone, okay, shall we? Dolly. Dolly, sister, how are you? Right. I think, was it Tuesday? Tuesday, you were here shortly. I didn't see much of you because I was blabbing away. And before I knew, you were gone. Are you still here, Dolly? Now, Whatever question you wanted to ask me Monday, I am all ears now. Come on, go ahead. We are here. How are you though? Because last time we were in the chat and you were asking me on our rival platform over there. I was so stressed, honey. I was stressed because my radiator had fallen off. So I am here. The chocolate was, the dark chocolate was good, but it didn't set hard. What was the ratio? Was it a 1-to-1? And what kind of chocolate did you use? Because I think the part of the information that would have been important and would have made a difference to you, my bad, was whilst dark chocolate contains more cocoa solids than your white and milk chocolate, that is one of the chocolate types, as in the dark chocolate, where the quality of the chocolate matters. So if you're using caliber or the cocoa solids that are about 70%, you're going to get a hard set ganache. Whereas if you're using up to 50%, it is a risk. So are we talking about what's the name? The brand, the Tesco Molly's brand. If that is the case, look at the amount of cocoa solids. If it says 50%, that is simply the answer you need, because that would have been the reason why you're, especially if you employed a 1-to-1 ratio, but it can be easily corrected. It means you just have to either raise the ratio to 1.5 to 2. You have to try it to get what you want. So just let me know. But I hope it did set enough for your for you to use, as much as it didn't turn out how you wanted. I hope it wasn't something that was so bothersome though. As always, we're going to have some water at the base of the oven. We have two 8-inch pans. Oven in, and I'm going to turn that to 150 degrees C. And then we'll move this out of sight. One second, let me just check. Right, so let's have a look at Dolly. Dennis was asking me, Dennis, hello, welcome to the chat. Dennis, I suspect you're new here because we know our people. When people come in here, we know each other. So I suspect you are probably new to us. So Dennis is asking, sorry, is this an oil-based vanilla or normal vanilla sponge? This is a cream-based margarine, solid fat. So in want of a better word, if what you're asking is a normal sponge, which is creamed with solid fat instead of oil, yes, it's with solid fat, and the fat of choice is Stork, which is a margarine brand. It's not oil based. I didn't have oil here, and if I was using solely oil, I wouldn't be creaming. It would either be the reverse creaming method or the mixing method, as in the bowl mixing method. So no, it's not oil based. I hope that answers your question. Lasso Kid, there's a shop here that sells 100% cocoa. I get a little. I'm a big dark chocolate. Good quality dark chocolate is actually encouraged. You know, a bit like some types of red wine. That is not to say I'm encouraging drinking, but apparently the science supports it. So some dark chocolate, I think up to, is it up to about 74% plus, doesn't contain a lot of sugar, and it contains something that helps you as well. I'll leave what it means to the scientists, but real dark chocolate, good quality dark chocolate without the processed sugars in it, is a good thing for your health. So yes, that's good. Dolly was saying it did a good job and the customer was really happy. Right. So if the customer was really happy, was the ganache then a thing of preference where you felt like it fell short of your expectation, as in it didn't set as you would like it? Or ultimately, because the customer like it, you would like it too? Where is the concern, if any, Dolly? And Lasso Kid says, yeah, dark chocolate is expensive. Oh, you want to ask bakers, like the one product that has increased more than 100% in price. I think the price of chocolate since the last 18 months has gone up about, I'm now throwing some figures out, but it's close, about 400%. Because I remember 2 years ago, my favorite Fincari brand of chocolate, we used to buy it for 36 pence per 100 grams, and then it jumped to something like 61, and then it went to 85. It's now £1.19. How did we go from 36 pence to £1.19 in our local Lidl? So if there is, and last time I went to Costco, the Costco brand of chocolate chips, I used to buy it for $9.99, and the last time I went, it was the same quantity, nothing has changed, same label, nothing has changed. It was $21.99. My jaw dropped. I was like, what? So if there is something like a particular baking ingredient that keeps changing and not for the better, it's chocolate. So Lasso Kids. Okay, so Dolly was saying, is the ganache you were concerned about? So here's a question, Dolly. You say it didn't set as hard. When you put it in the fridge, did it still not set for you? Because sometimes when you dark chocolate behaves slightly differently to white chocolate. So if it didn't set as hard when you made it, by the time you came to using it, sometimes like agitating it, which is stirring it and using it in the process, kind of mixes things up and it sets in the process. So what was it like from where, talk me through what it was like when you made it till from making it to when you put it in the fridge? Because if it didn't set, I wonder how you were able to cover it. Did you cover it? Did you use fondant covering? Like, whilst it didn't set, I'm just trying to work out where the not setting became a problem for you. Was it during the covering of the cake, or when you made it, it didn't set as you would like it? Okay, so Dolly, so it did set hard. Oh, it didn't set. Okay, it didn't set hard. It was like spreadable butter. Was that when you were using it on the cake? Dawn out here doing God's work. Thank you, Dawn. People, listen to Dawn. Dawn says, do like and share. Do like and hit the subscribe button. We are literally heading towards 10K. I am not trying to make a thing out of it, but it's a thing. Like 10,000 people. Like, I don't know what I'll do with that, but yeah, thank you. It's 1:47. We still have another 6-inch cake to make. Same cake. So. Okay, it didn't set hard even when you took it out of the fridge. So when it comes to, so like I was saying, what brand of dark chocolate were you using? Were you using the Molly's brand? If you're using the Molly's brand, just check on the label how much cocoa solids are in, because the supermarket brands of cocoa dark chocolate do vary in the amount of cocoa solids. But if you wanted to set hard, as in set really hard, you will have to consider raising the ratio. I will recommend you try a ratio of say 1.5 to 1. So for every 150 grams of chocolate, you have 100 mils of cream. It's not a direct 1-to-1 ratio, but it depends on the quality of the chocolate. If you are using Caliber or any of the premium brands, a 1-to-1 ratio should still do you great result, because I've tried that before. But your local supermarket brands can fall short of the amount of cocoa solids, and it's the presence of the cocoa solids that will determine how set your ganache will be. But also remember, the more, if you buy yourself like chocolate that has more cocoa solids, for instance 74%, the ganache is going to be really strong and powerful and overwhelming, and sometimes that's not what customers like. You want a nice balance of the flavors to work well. So I don't normally recommend the 74. Anything over 50%, I don't, because it's too strong. The only time I use more the 70 to 74% cocoa solid is when I'm making brownies, because then I want to employ the intensity of the chocolate quality. But otherwise, stay about 50 to 55%. But if you're using the supermarket brand and it's not setting for you, just raise it. Try it at home when you can. Just get 150 grams to 100 mils. The truth is, if it sets or don't set, you can then put the ganache towards something else. So it's not like you're going to waste it. But just try it at home and see how the results will yield you. Because the truth is, I don't use dark chocolate much. I don't. In the past, I have mixed dark with milk. My relationship with dark chocolate is neither here nor there, because I find dark chocolate really strong and overwhelming, and I'm always trying to optimize it for better mouthfeel, if you know what I mean. So try it and see how you feel about it. Ultimately, you might just have to determine your own ratio for yourself, and that's not a bad thing. Okay, so yeah. When you took it out of the fridge, a spatula could still go through it. Yeah. So if that's the case, just raise it. Raise it by half the like 1.5 to 1 ratio of cream, and see how you like it. Maybe if you raise it to the 1.5, it might probably not set, and you might have to do 2 to 1. Like I've always said, the ratio of ganache that are recommended is just guidance. There's really no strict policy to what you should use. So just determine what works for you, if you like. I hope that helps. Yeah, come back and let us know. And a tip though, add a pinch of salt to your ganache when you make it. It brings complexity, enhances the taste, and gives you a better mouthfeel altogether. So yeah, come back and tell us how that all feels. But anyway, we are still headed to the weekend. I have a long weekend. This weekend, next week is going to be long because I have some cakes to make for next week. I actually have a Bible cake, as in an open book cake. And we still have our Valentine themed mini cakes to decorate. There's a lot of cake happening, isn't it? Anyway, it's always good to hang out with you. Let me just get this mixer out of the way because we need to be prepping the next batch of batter because we are still going to be baking a 6-inch apple caramel cake again. Let's see, what have I missed in the chat? You want to see a Bible cake? It's more like an open book because there's nothing about it that if you want to make a Bible cake, the thing that determines the Bible is when it's closed, then you know it's a Bible. But an open book cake, yeah, it's a child's first birthday and their mom wants but I've made open book cakes. I have them on my website, and closed book cakes. But I don't think I've made one on a live before. So hopefully I can bring you along. I'm not promising because some of those cakes can be intense. And sometimes because of having to manage my time, I can't always guarantee that I will be able to show you how to do it here. But yeah, it would be lovely to bring you along the process. Do I use a different cake pan? No, I don't use the molded cake pan. I hand carve my open books anyway. I hand carve them. So I normally bake them in a 12x9, as in a rectangular pan. So depending on the serving sizes, this 12x9 serves up to 30 if you go for small sizes. But if you go for chunky pieces, it's somewhere between 22 and 24 servings. So it's neither here nor there. So the 12x9 sort of works out like maybe a 6-inch by 4 or 5-inch if you like. So anyway, it is serving about 20 to 25 people, and this stretches up to 30 if the servings are small. So because I know the serving numbers, I am able to determine which pan works for me. So I think the serving of 30 is my largest, and it's a 12x9. It's a rectangular. I don't know if it's here. If it was here, I would show you. It's not near me. I would have shown you. But a 12x9-inch, you can work it out. It is something close to the size of this, I think, sort of the plate. I'm talking about the slate anyway. So we need to cut our cake, don't we? Not there. I just don't want to confuse the let's see. Now that you've asked me, I really feel like I want to kind of get this right for you. Okay, this is a 13 by, so the slate here is a 13 by 10. So it's only an inch wider. So something similar in size, and then I hand carve it into the book. Here's a question for you. Tabitha is back. Tabitha, good to be back. Here's a question for you, Dolly. For some of these carved cakes that you want to practice on, are there a selection of cakes? Give me 3 options of cakes that at the moment you really want to make but you don't have an order for, because I am trying to determine and probably give you tips on how you can practice them for yourself if you want. And is Steph still here? Steph, Steph, as in seasons, are you still here? You know, yesterday my ambitious self went and I put the glaze on our roast ham. We need to kind of go and cut that roast ham because it's leaking. Tabitha, you had some chores to attend to. Oh God. Glad it's done, but it's still 5 a.m. where you are. How do you have chores this very early morning, my love? I need to get people, bear with me. Let me just get my mixer. I've got the mixer back. I could have got the other bowl, but I don't want to get didn't want to get that back. You know what? I guess Dawn is saying something informative in the chat. People, just ignore me, okay? I'm not right. Dawn is saying, Gladys, I've noticed many new recipes for cakes and cookies are now adding salt, which they didn't used to, but I usually put sea salt in. Yeah, I guess the whole thing about baking, like many things, have evolved. Cooking has evolved. Like culturally, we are adopting different things. So probably the way cake started didn't require salt, or for not knowing, salt was passed, and then over time salt became I have seen recipes, I still see recipes where when I see salt, it's like, is this the baker's recommendation or it's part of the original recipe? One thing I do know is that cookies have always recommended salt if for garnishing when you finish, but adding it to the recipe itself also enhances taste. And if they are not recommended adding salt, perhaps they'll recommend the use of salted butter if you like. So you know what, salt in any cooked item, my thing, I add it to my buttercream. If you add salt to your Swiss meringue buttercream, you will see salt is just that magic thing that just changes everything. So people, add salt to your baked goods, that's all. I agree. Tapeta, some people in my house are like eating dinner 1:30 to 2 p. Ooh. Ah, okay. What do you call it? Dolly, I was asking Dolly if there are some cupcakes she wants to make, and she's like, as a self-taught, she hasn't. So haven't you delved into any carved cakes? The truth also is carved cakes, right? Just because one is a baker or a cake artist doesn't necessarily mean you have to take on carved cakes. And as a matter of fact, carved cakes are targeted at a specific customer base, and that by nature is not expansive. So I can understand. But I was just thinking for your own expression, as in making cakes for customers is one thing, but sometimes this chicken cake, and it's more for my own artistic expression rather than it is for a customer, because I doubt any customer is sitting there thinking, can you make me a turkey cake. It would be fun to make it for a customer, but no, I get what you're saying, Dolly. That's fine. You would like to learn how to make a book. Frankly, book cakes are some of the easiest cakes to make, honestly. Depending on what you're doing. As long as it's not a stacked book or like a tiered book cake. Tiered cakes will always be difficult. But book cakes are really very easy to make. And that is not that's not because I am say a professional decorator. No, like in terms of effort and cleanliness, they are some of the easiest. In fact, when I started baking, closed book cakes were some of the easiest cakes I could make, and especially the fact that they required fondant, you know. So yeah, a book cake is not that hard, but this is an open book. The open book cake is a little more complex because it requires if you want to bring texture and realism to it, it's a little bit complex, as in you have to carve it in a certain way. You can just create a square a rectangle cake and then create a line in the middle equally parting and then decorate it, and it will look like an open book cake, but it won't have any element of realism. It will be flat, like very flat, and the likeness to a real book will be missing, but it will still be seen as a book cake depending on how you design it. But a closed book cake is some of the easiest cake you can make. In fact, I shudder to say a closed book cake is easier to make in terms of time and effort compared to, say, if you're a beginner, compared to stacking and filling a single tiered round cake. Because a round cake, you still have to kind of layer it, stack it up, and do all of these things and make sure that you get the shape right and uniform. And you don't have all that trouble with the closed book cake. So anyway, so that's just saying. But yeah, I've made a few in my time. This is going to be an open book cake though. And yeah, Dawn, I agree. We were talking about salt in recipes. Modern cake recipes, and Dawn is saying over time our tastes have changed. Yes, our tastes have changed a lot. So I guess it's a good thing though, isn't it? See, Dawn agrees with me. Dawn says, I made an open book cake for an engagement. It was quite easy. Yeah, open book cakes, I mean, if you're a professional, an open book cake is going to be more advanced than a closed book. But both are fairly easier in terms of effort to make, you know. You don't, Dolly was saying you don't take any carved cakes. That's okay. Back to surgery now. Just make sure the patient comes out with good teeth, okay? Good luck, and we'll see you soon. Take care, my lovely. Bye-bye. All right? Now I'm looking for my spatula. Tabitha is saying I have a mom question for all the mamas. Tabitha, go ahead. We are here. We can't promise you we have answers, but we can promise you we will help best as we can. There you go. Now we have just added that. Let's see. Tabitha, I will look at your message in a moment. Just bear with me. Let me just put this away. There you go. So Tabitha is asking. Right. Kirsten is asking, what was in that bottle? Is it this bottle? It's vanilla. It's yeah, it's vanilla. Okay, that's Kirsten. I've answered that question. Judith. Oh, Judith. I love you, darling, for being here. Thank you for the positive comment. Judith says, I love watching you, Gladys. Oh, I love having you here. Thank you for stopping by. How are you? So Kirsten and Judith, welcome to the chat. Great to have you here this afternoon. Tabitha is asking a question. She did preface by asking all the mamas out here, we should help her. I can't promise when it comes to mama stuff. I am always out here asking you questions. So let's see. Tabitha said, if all of you could afford for your kids, for Christmas, if all you could afford for your kid for Christmas is a hoodie sweatshirt that you honestly couldn't buy someone else. Okay, so I got texts are very funny, especially if they are not punctuated. And I know we are very informal here, but it's hard for me to grasp. So, Tabitha, I'm going to try and explain what I've just read. If I'm correct, let me know. So what you're asking is if you genuinely couldn't afford a hoodie for Christmas for your child, so much so that the hoodie was afforded by someone else as a gift to you for your child, right? So let's just say little producer wants this hoodie so bad, but I sincerely cannot afford the hoodie. So much so that someone then buys the hoodie for me or gifts it to me to give it to the child, right? So even though it's coming through me, I'm not the person paying for it. But nonetheless, the point is, it was not something that was easy to find or purchase or afford. The child gets it. They are expressively grateful for it. They take it to school. Someone loans it, their friend loan it, get it from them, and they are so kind to give this hoodie that came by so much trouble, but so precious. Friend loans it, takes it home, and then friend's family member washes it and loses it. Is that what I'm reading? Is that correct? I think reading Don't Say It, I'll be furious. I would be livid. But even on a good day when I'm not livid, my child thinks I'm a livid mom. Like, he thinks I am very rude because I'm so strongly assertive, and he's like, you are not patient. You are very rude, mama, because the African in me has no chill. So whoever you gave that t-shirt to, I'm gonna be marching you to their house. Look, let's just say I will be livid. That's all. Who told you that? Is it the child telling you you're making a mountain out of molehill, or somebody else invalidating your feeling? Which one? If it's the child, you should expect that the child will do that. That doesn't mean you should feel any less annoyed by their behavior. That doesn't mean that at all, okay? So I can completely understand the child, because the child does not perceive your experience at all. Because first of all, perhaps the child doesn't understand the hoops. Maybe in your effort to shield them, you're not telling them, look, child, we are broke to the point where this hoodie didn't just come because you wanted it. It came with some sacrifice, right? So the child probably doesn't perceive the seriousness of the effort you went to get them this thing. And I guess children generally do not perceive the seriousness of we adults, and that's okay. We live in two different worlds. They are children. So sometimes when my son annoys me, really, the sort of thing that will really drive any mom up the wall, and I'm kind of like venting, and he's looking at me, he's like, why? It's not a big deal, mama. So who is trying to invalidate? If it's your kids, I won't pay it any mind. It will be annoying, but I won't pay it any mind. Now, if it's any other adult that has no kid trying to tell you you're making a mountain out of molehill, you need to summon that adult here. Let's stone them. I'm kidding. If you do, Dawn. Dawn, you and me are the same. Like, first of all, I have some unpopular opinions about parenting. Okay, I really have some unpopular. Like, who is this friend you are loaning your hoodie to? Like, I don't mind you loaning a book to your friend, but why are you loaning your clothes? Like, that is too personal. It's touching your skin. So I would be more annoyed at my child for that nonsense. But the fact that this other child took it to their home and it didn't come back, the African in me would want to march to the house and be like, where the hoodie at? But when I dial it back, right? The sort of parent whose child comes home with another child's hoodie, and that parent, for some reason, loses another child from another home's very important item, I don't think it's worth even getting into a fight. It's not worth getting into any sort of conversation with that parent. Like, you lost me at the part where your child came home with a hoodie that you know you didn't purchase. And as a parent, if my son came home with a hoodie that I didn't purchase, my instinct will be to find out where that hoodie came from and to ensure that that hoodie goes back in one piece. But that's my values, okay? So the fact that the other parent ends up washing the hoodie and then losing it in the process, I don't think it was sort of like by chance. Because you don't just lose another child's hoodie. Like, what happened? You put it on a hanger and someone picked it, or you washed it and it discolored and you just felt like, ooh, you ruined it, so you threw it away. Tap it up. I'm looking at the other parent who lost your kid's hoodie. I'm looking at them funny, but it will not be worth the fight for me anymore, because at that point you've lost me as a parent. Like, why is another child, your child, why are you losing somebody else's child's hoodie? She let a friend take a pair of new school jeans home to put a patch on them. And the kid had to message me and tell me that her mom's dog something tells me those friends your kid is loaning stuff to are just taking advantage of your kid. Because know that, especially if children are all hanging out in the same social group, you may not have an understanding of the struggles that other people may be having. And I'm not looking down on anyone, but I'm just saying, what would make another child be so keen to borrow? If you get into the grain of this, right? The fact that a child sees another child wearing something and wants to borrow it means that this thing your child has is attractive to them. They like it. Children don't go borrowing things they don't like, right? They really want this thing to the point where they want to borrow it. So is it that they like it, they know they can't afford it, and then they borrowed it and for some reason they want to keep it? We want to tell Tapita, tell our little girl to sit this one out and stop giving your clothes out to people. Like, she needs to stop giving clothes out to friends. She wants a sleepover with the friends that has the hoodie, and I'm half tempted to let her go and not return until Tapita, this is where my kid doesn't do sleepovers, not at anybody's house. I don't care who you are. Your name can be God. My kid is not coming to your house for a sleepover. And if you are already losing my hoodie, goodbye. I feel so bad about it because people are spending hard-earned dollars on my kid when all of us are barely getting by. I take this shit serious. Money doesn't grow on trees. The sad part is the kid has the sweatshirt come from a family in a higher financial... Listen, people, just because the child comes from a higher financial... Probably the reason why they have money is because they know how to keep it tight. And so why should this kid from the higher financial come and be borrowing from you, you know? And your kind little person is being so kind, and now these people who should know better or at least be able to afford things are taking advantage of your kindness over there. I feel so pissed for you. But ish. Nah. The little producer knows not to try that nonsense. But you know what, Tapita? Maybe be kind to yourself. Sometimes the children we bring up just feel differently to us. And they are children, you know. Children who are kind will always be open to other people taking advantage of them until they learn to protect the kindness and genuine feeling of giving. Now, does that necessitate going to tell your kid, don't be kind? No. But she has to have an understanding of you cannot be giving these expensive things, as in the clothing. The truth is, children don't see the value of money and the struggles we have as adults. And I think it is an important lesson that we don't overburden our kids with our own financial worries and fears. Like when my son goes into my Amazon cart and he picks a toy and he picks another toy and he picks another toy, and I look at the price and it's 108, and I'm thinking, sir, who is paying for that? Right? The truth is, 108 for 3 bunch of toys ain't happening, right? But do I tell him, oh, you can't have it or it's too expensive? I try to kind of mold this like, sir, that is a lot of money, okay? And for you to get those, you have to earn it. And so how does he earn it? Go to school, be good, come home, do some chores, and you earn £2 a day. Like, I try to find a way to inform him that money doesn't just happen, and so when he wants, he gets. By so doing, I'm informing him to be responsible about the money rather than making him afraid that I can't afford things. The truth is, I can't afford everything. I have to watch how much I spend and what I do. But on the flip side, the child also has to have some sort of innocence. So it's a balancing act. For instance, last week, I spent £48 on a Titanic toy that I didn't care about. But he had to wait 2 weeks to get the toy because I had to make him earn it. And so by the time we got to buying the toy, he realized that just because he wants it doesn't mean he gets it. And so when he gets this toy delivered, he will recognize that he had to work hard for this toy that I'm not sure he'll be willing he will be willing to tell everybody and to share it, but I don't think he'll be willing to part with it. So the education of our children, the way we educate our children, should be set in logical, practical things whilst also empowering them, right? So I don't think you've done anything necessarily wrong here by allowing the child to have the thing that you sincerely couldn't afford but was able to bear it and give it to them. And it is not your fault that the child has gone and shared it with somebody. In fact, the responsibility here is split because your child was just acting in genuine kindness by loaning a friend something. And if not for anything, that friend and their parents, and this is not attacking the child because the children are all in the same category. The child who borrowed your daughter's clothing probably only knew that this this thing was nice and I want to borrow it, and they asked and they got it. They don't associate any value, the intangible value of how expensive or how important this material item looks or feels like. So the responsibility here is on the parent who was doing the laundry and somehow lost it. Like, I'm still hung up on how did they lose it? Did they discolor it and they ended up going, oh, the colors have run and I've ruined it, so let me tell a lie? That happens, right? But how do you lose another child's like hoodie? Tabitha, relax. The teen years are hard. She turns 15 next month. The teen years, because in her teen years, she wants to belong. It's not her fault somebody is taking advantage of her, you know. So just be kind to yourself. People will always inform you about what to expect, but Tabitha, be kind to yourself, because parenting is not a one drop rule for everybody, right? So whatever people told you, they must have told you it's going to be hard, she's not going to listen, you're going to face rebellion. Just adapt as you go and enjoy the process, Tabitha. Just be kind to yourself. It's not like you're doing something wrong here, honestly. Children will always be children, and we adults will always feel guilty as though we should be doing more, when in fact we're probably stressed out more than we should. Okay, so good luck. I think Dawn will be better a friend in this mode for you than me, because I don't have a teenager, but the 80-year-old I have, if that was a teenager, I'd be crying to you people. Okay, so it's neither here nor there. So don't hold Tabitha's hand. Tabitha, grab a cup of tea and relax. Just leave the hoodie alone over there and tell her, don't give any hoodies out. And if you ever tried, let's go make a cake. Let's cream this. What type of cake am I making today, Judith? It's supposed to be a spiced apple, but it ended up being a caramelized apple cake. Okay, so it's a vanilla cake, and I did explain the process to get the caramel into the apple. Let me beat this batter. Actually, I'm not in a hurry, right? So for caramelized apple, you have two options. Sometimes you can create the caramel sauce and then add the apple, let it cool, and then it is added to the batter, however you derive it. For me, though, I was keen on making sure there were remains of the apple chunks, but also without having to caramelize the apples in the caramel itself. I can retain the structure of the apple so that they remain chunky in the cake. So what you just saw me do, if you did see, was that I have some leftover caramel sauce, except this caramel sauce was made right here, and the base sugar was muscovado sugar, so it has more intense flavor to it than your regular salted caramel. So I employed just 2 full tablespoons of that to mix into just chopped apples. And what that will do is it will flavor the sponge lightly and bring some intensity without overpowering it. And by so doing, I end up maintaining the chunky apples also in the cake. And so that's what I have just done. I hope that kind of makes sense. So it's caramelized apple. Anyway, whilst I am at it, there is something I'm looking for. Okay, we are going to be beating this. I was right when I told you. I know Dawn is a grandma, okay? She would have gone through kids, but I know that by the time she brought up her children would have been in a different generation. The kids we have these days, it only takes the Lord's grace, okay, and some sternness from you being a parent. Because we were talking about the Beckhams yesterday and the day before. Harry is running over here. The kids we have these days, it's a different struggle, Tabitha. So unfortunately, I don't have a teen. I cannot even draw from my own experience as a teenager because I'm Ghanaian, okay? At nearly 40 years old, I cannot open my crooked mouth to my mother in any wrong way, okay? I will feel her wrath through the phone. And I know never to do that nonsense. So when my 8-year-old is stomping around telling me, well, I'm not doing that if you're going to be talking to me like that. It takes the grace of God to not crash out. So Tabitha, Dawn has got you covered over there. I'm sure you will have good company, good luck. But please don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing the best you can. That's all. Dawn, I can tell you things, okay? The things that if I told you will have me cancelled, or it will be so unbelievable. My growing up, like, I cannot open my mouth to challenge my mom on anything, and that's not out of fear. It's just because of the way I was brought up. I have come to appreciate reverence to my mom as my parent. So even though my mom is imperfect as hell, and these days I find her habits toxic, okay? She has some very toxic habits. And I say toxic not in the serious sense of toxic, but when you come to recognize that your parents were up here acting wild and no social services were checking them, you almost shake your head in laughter. you know, when you were brought up in a very strict home. I wouldn't say my home growing up was very strict, but you knew how to behave without being told. And that's a whole different upbringing. You didn't talk back. You will lose a couple of molars if you tried. Talking back at my Ghanaian mom. Are you crazy? Do you want to live? Or you are begging to be buried? Like, these children would never know how we fought to exist. Oh, my dear Judith. My mom, my mom is a tale of where complexity exists. I love my mom. And when I say I love my mom, it's not like mushy. Like, it's not, my mom is, no. I love my mom because my mom is my absolute North Star. Like, the person, when you call something, there's a saying in English lexicon that says something as tough as old boots. That's my mom. Like, my mom is tough as old boots because she brought up 5 girls in a culture that almost negates her experience as a mom and invalidates her entire experience in marriage because she had girls. Because apparently she's supposed to be having boys who will carry the family name, and there she goes with 5 girls. She grew up in that environment. My dad passed young. My dad passed at 58, okay? And my mom had to figure out bringing us all up in an impoverished country, not supported by a system of benefits or any form of support to get you off your feet. My mom carried plates of stuff on her head, hawking the streets so she could earn a living for me, okay? Now, if I don't respect that woman, even for the things that I may consider wrong, I think the heavens will judge me. Because what I do know is that whilst my parenting today is somehow in direct contrast to her, I have no judgment of her choices she made as a parent, even if they were poor, because I have come to understand that people can only do what they know, and people can only give you the best that in their eyes is. And for my mom, today, TikTok influencers and social media will have you believe that just because your parent wasn't always emotionally present with you makes them so toxic that somehow you should go no contact with them. And that's good for them. I have nothing about people's experience. I will say though that if I look at my experience as a child of my mom from the lens of this pseudo therapy sort of thing, then my mom will be the first candidate to be disowned and be left as no contact. But when I look at it from the eyes of humanity and I empathize and I put myself in my mother's shoes, a woman who grew up without her parents, she was an orphan very young. By the time my mom was 10 years old, she was dealing with things no child should have to deal with. And then she gets married and she has children. How does she even begin to empower them? But one thing I know my mom did so well was that because she came from such hard and difficult upbringing with no support whatsoever, and I mean support in every way, right? My mom believed in education, you know? So when I came to England and I'll encounter people, and even today, one of the compliments I get often is, you speak so well. Anytime someone says that to me, and it's a compliment, because sometimes it can also be seen like people are like, oh, we never thought people like you speak so well. It's neither here nor there. My point is the experience can be very nuanced, but where it's a genuine compliment, my heart leads back to the sacrifices my mom made to ensure that I had an education that will allow me to advocate for myself, to communicate in a way that is formally recognized, you know. So I can tell you some things my mom has done that I don't agree with and still do not agree with. Will I be out in these streets dragging her? No. But even at 40 years old, I will never if I bumped my head, I cannot even shout at my mother. But we have my 80-year-old kid out here. 80-year-old kid out here telling me, I'm not doing that. My mom had to look at you from the corner of the room without a word, and you would know how to act. And yet I have an 80-year-old kid telling me, well, I'm not doing that. If you're going to be talking to me like that, you are so rude. Huh? And he's only 8. Tapeta? Tapeta? Good luck. Okay. Whew. Whew. Tapeta, anyone remember the look from mom? Ooh, okay. Our cake is nearly done. Let's get on with this. So I saw our friend from Malaysia saying chef. Where's our friend? Oh, right. Where is our friend in the chat? Let me see you. So, friend, let's see. Who? Louis, thank you. How is Malaysia? How is life with you? Tapeta talking about that look and Steph going, you will die from embarrassment. Mother, this 2026 kids, they will never understand, but it's okay. Our life evolves and so does theirs. You know what? Some days I feel like you, my child, I want to send you to Ghana for a minute. You know what, Tapeta? I do need all the luck. I've just told you what I'm dealing with. Like, that's what I've told you. You will not find me on this internet streets talking about motherhood. I can talk about my own experience in some like scatting form. But I am not willing to put my business as a mom because it is very hard. It is hard being a mom. It is hard. We do it with love. We don't begrudge the process, okay? But mothering is hard. Pouring out of you emotionally to bring a whole human being so that this human being will be a fundamental responsible member in society is one of the near godlike thing that women we do. And yet nobody appreciates what it is like. It's not fun and games. Let me just go make a cake. I think we need a group chat. We need a whole group chat. Because some days you're like, I'll tell you something. One of these days I went to my son's school, right? And apparently there was a scuffle in the school playground and something. Nothing serious, but the school is very on the ball, you know, and policy-wise, something happens, they have to update the parent. My son knows that when I roll up to the school and the teacher says to me, he knows. It better not be him being the problem. Okay, it better not be him, because I can't be dealing with that. Child, you need to behave. Okay. So one of these days when the teacher pulls me to the corner and tells me this thing that happened in the school playground, it wasn't serious, and and I looked at the teacher, I'm like, is everything okay? She goes, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Next time he does this nonsense, just put him out of the class for 10 minutes and please don't call me. The teacher looks at me like, did you say? The teachers have a hard job already. Why are you going to school to misbehave? Like, why? Anyway, let's just make this cake, shall we? We will get the first cake out. Ooh, the first cake is made. Ooh. I'll show you what the first cake looks like. You are blaming your gray hair on the kids. I mean, that shows wisdom and growth too. So gray hair is not the bad guy here, Tapeta. You'll be fine. Who seasons? Seasons in the chat asking, did you have a belt in school? I didn't have a belt in school. I had a cane at home. My dear, these children will never know how we anyway, let's get the flour in the mix, okay? And let's have the caramelized apple. There you go. What would happen if you add the eggs at once? Honestly, for this recipe and what I'm doing, nothing will happen. But the recommended practice is you want to add the eggs slowly so that it can help incorporate and emulsify and help build structure. That is the recommendation behind the intention to add eggs in slowly. But for what this is my own recipe. I derive this and I know it back. And I've tried it many ways. Okay? It is such an adaptable recipe. If you dump the entire eggs in, it will make no difference at all. Yeah? That's all. So, essentially, I speak for... I've just literally washed my hands. Those of you who can't stand cooks on the internet using their hands, okay? I'm not about to lose my butter, okay? So I'm just speaking for this recipe, that for this recipe and what I'm doing, if I dumped the entire eggs in, nothing will happen. Like, I'll still get the same result. because I have tried it time and again, and it hasn't ruined anything at all for me, if you like. I don't know about any other recipe, but generally it is recommended you follow the recipe recommendations. So if you're using a different recipe, just follow what the recipe instruction says. But for this one, if you dump the eggs, it should be all right. Why do I feel like I missed something? Did I miss the buttermilk? You know, sometimes when you feel like, did I miss something? Maybe I didn't. But whether there's buttermilk or not, it won't make any difference. Let's just go and add this. Okay, now let's go and do the everyday stuff, like you flatten the top, and then you hollow it out so that it makes for easy and even rise, and you add some water. To the tray, and then the two goes in. These are 6-inch ones anyway, so that's it's almost 5 to 3. Now let's check the 2 8-inch that we baked from earlier. Okay, these have been out of the oven for a little while. Okay, look at, first of all, I wanted to show you, they baked really flat. Look at how they all came out, and we have a very nice caramelized sponge here. It's very delicate as well. Yeah, look. Lovely delicate sponge. It's a shame I can't eat it because one smells really nice. So this is going to be filled with toffee caramel. This one as a filling when we layer it. Okay, I like how delicate it feels, and I can see the spotty apples in it, but it's not sunk, if you like. So great result if you ask me. There you go. I'm just looking at the chatter going on in the comment. I'm thinking, oh, being a parent in modern times is very hard. Okay, so if you're a parent and you feel like you are failing, give yourself some grace. I mean, you are attempting to kind of mold a whole human being into society. It's not easy, okay? And no one gives you a manual, okay? Imagine being told to undertake this thing and make such perfect results, and yet you don't have a manual. So a bit of prayer, some moments of screaming and shouting, and a chatter on the internet with some good friends might just be what you need for a good day. Okay, don't worry. So that's all. For some of us who are like a little older now, it's like, ish, can we go? I don't know if I want my child to have the same childhood I had, but the childhood he is having is a little more privileged than what I had. And there are good sides and bad sides, and you just have to pray for wisdom. Okay, when it comes to motherhood, I don't tell nobody what to do. What I do know is that everybody needs God-sent wisdom, like wisdom, the sort of wisdom that will guide your heart so you can pour into a child and mold a child. You need it every day, and I pray for that every day, you know, because ultimately my child will become the product or the result of what I perceive as good parenting. And unless they told me I'm a good parent, I live at their mercy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, your child ultimately will show up in the world to demonstrate whether you did a good job or not. And they can do that vocally or just exist. That's my alarm. So just give yourself grace, pray for wisdom, and take it one day at a time. You're doing just fine. Good. When I say good luck, Tapeta, I might probably need it. Tapeta say you've threatened to remove the doors of your house. What do you mean, Tapeta? Stop terrorizing the child. No, it's my phone. I have an alarm. Yep, it's 3 p.m. It's 3 p.m. and we have already baked our cake. So my people, let a sister go and do what is left, and we will be back tomorrow to probably put this cake together and do the rest of the stuff that needs doing, like the cakes that need covering, the Valentine themed cakes. So you know what, Tapeta, I'm gonna hug you virtually, and Steph, I'll catch you on the other side. Donna, thank you so very much, and all you new people who stopped by today. Our cake baked, we have some great results, so let's come back and continue tomorrow. And as always, happy baking. I'll see you soon. Take care.